What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here with some surprisingly good news for once. And that news is that Bam Margera is still alive by the graces of God. I'm not going to lie. I was halfway expecting that this story would end by someone finding Bam Margera dead somewhere. And I hate to have to think that way, but that's the reality of this situation, although some people don't seem to realize that. They are treating this like it's a game, like it's a reality show, like this is a new season to be Viva La Bam or something. I don't understand the mentality of some people, but Bam Margera is alive. He turned himself in to law enforcement earlier this morning. Don't get me wrong. He's not in jail at the time of this recording, but who knows what may happen by the end of the night. But right now, he's not in jail. He posted bond. I think it was like a $50K bond. So he's out. And I gotta say that this is a step in the right direction. I don't think this means that everything is okay with Bam, but this is a step in the right direction, and hopefully he continues stepping in the right direction. You don't want to be out here on the run from law enforcement, because you better believe they're going to catch up with you one day. And I would always suggest that people take matters into their own hands and take control over your own situation. And in Bam's situation, I think it was the smartest and safest thing to do to turn himself in. Because when you turn yourself in, you're now in control of the situation. You go to the police station, you have your lawyers ready, you turn yourself in, you hand yourself over, no problems. But if you get pulled over and you're wanted, or maybe police have to track you down and kick in your door, something like that happens, it's a toxic situation, it's dangerous for everyone involved. And luckily, Bam Margera was smart enough to know that the right decision here was to turn himself in. So for that, I am really glad that he made that decision. Okay? Now, he has some choice words for some of his family members. And I want to go over what he posted on social media after he got out. He says, "I just got out of the courthouse with my lawyers. Everything went great. And the false accusations of what my brother says are not true, and he will be sued for defamation as well as being evicted from Castle Bam sooner than later. The reason this happened is because I read his phone saying he wants me back in California, and he wants to find a way to 302 me. F him." Now, according to court documents, the judge ordered Bam to complete a drug and alcohol assessment. He also ordered Bam to stay away from his brother and the other victims and his brother's house. The judge says that Bam has to get permission from the pretrial services department if he wants to leave the state of Pennsylvania. Now, when Bam turned himself in, he shared a picture of himself, the picture that you're looking at right now. And like I said, I already went over the social media post that he posted. But his attorney actually had some words as well. He says that Bam was arraigned and entered his plea of not guilty. He was released on an unsecured bail. Mr. Margera enjoys all of his constitutional rights, including the presumption of innocence. The wild rumors regarding his behavior this week are completely false. He is in good health and in good spirits. So that's where we're at in the situation right now. But judging by Bam's words, this situation is far from over. And I can already see the writing on the wall. I can already see what happens from here. And I just hope that Bam and Bam's family are ready to have their lives turned into a reality show once again, but this time for YouTube and TikTok and other social media platforms, where people will basically entertain themselves by diving into Bam's life and diving into the lives of any and everyone who has ever been associated with this dude in an attempt to blame and point the fingers at anyone imaginable besides Bam himself. People will run around in circles, come up with all types of theories in order to place the blame elsewhere instead of acknowledging that Bam has a problem. And that's what's going to happen here. This is going to be Free Britney 2.0. I've seen it time and time again. We basically just watched this whole entire exact situation play out with Aaron Carter. Look how that turned out. You have a portion of his fan base that were sane and they were scared for Aaron Carter and the fact that he had abuse issues. I mean, and it was very obvious. He would do this stuff literally on Instagram Live. But then you had this toxic portion of the fan base that whenever you would mention, hey, maybe he needs help, they would attack you. I've dealt with it with Aaron Carter. I've dealt with it with Britney Spears. I've dealt with it with Ezra Miller, who was out grooming kids and had a whole cult in another country while his fan base were saying that he did no wrong and that everyone else in the world they were all conspiring against Ezra Miller. The same thing with Aaron Carter. Everyone in the world, his brother was to blame, his mom, his girlfriend, this person, that person. No one wanted to acknowledge that Aaron Carter had a problem. And then when Aaron Carter gets found dead in the bathtub, everyone wants to cry, boo-hoo. How did we get here? How did this happen? Probably because you all watched this happen. And not only did you watch, you egged it on and you tried to silence anyone that tried to help. And you tried to disconnect these people from their families and friends and people who know them in real life. And it could be a very stressful situation as a family member or a friend who's trying to help an addict when they have thousands of people who are trying to enable them to be an addict, who are trying to enable them to do, even worse things. Now, I've said before, I don't necessarily trust everyone around Bam, and I don't necessarily agree with how they've handled this situation, but I'm not in their shoes. I can't tell them how to react to this. Some people would criticize, why is the family talking to TMZ? I don't know. That's something you would have to ask them. One thing that I have seen is that Bam's brother has denied talking to TMZ, and he claims that TMZ is basically going over his social media profiles and taking his posts and then reporting them, in the tabloids. What's going on there? I don't know. I just know that the writing is on the wall, and what's going to come next is going to be devastating for every single person involved. It's going to be devastating for Bam. It's not going to help Bam. It's going to be devastating for his friends and family. And the ghouls online will have a heyday, turning his despair and his personal family issues into their entertainment. Because at the end of the day, that's what these movements are about. They're about entertaining people. They're not about freeing people. They're not about any of that. They're about entertaining people until you realize, oh, wait, maybe we made a mistake and this person was having issues. We just watched it with Britney Spears. Like I said, it's already too late for Aaron Carter. So if something happens to Bam, do not sit here and act surprised. If it's reported that something happens to Bam and Bam's dead tomorrow, who are you going to blame then? Are you going to blame everyone else for his death? Or are you finally going to acknowledge that, yeah, maybe Bam had a problem? Because my point has been, and the only point that I've made throughout these videos, is that Bam needs to address the problems that he has within before pointing the finger at everyone else. And instead of pointing the fingers at everyone else, I think everyone else should acknowledge the problems that Bam has within. How can you fix outside issues without fixing the issue within? One thing I've learned in life is you got to worry about what you have control over. Bam does not necessarily have control over what his family does, what his friends do, what that person does, what that person says online. Bam has control over his own actions, right? And it's very obvious that he's making some very horrible decisions. Now, yes, he's grown, and if he wants to kill himself, then that's on him. But I don't want that to happen. And I'm damn sure not going to sit by and egg it on while blaming everyone else while this dude self-destructs in my face. Let me know your thoughts though down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.